demonstrations and then throw the demonstrations away, so maybe as we talk I'll actually make a little table using this. But what I'm going to do is I did a little bit of stuff beforehand, but basically I cut these guys to shape. They're 90, you know, flat surface. They're pretty pieces of wood. I don't know if you can just
I'll hold them up so
Yeah.
everybody can see.
Yeah.
Right
Okay,
there.
you go.
So,
It's just a couple of pieces of black limba. Now I'm going to walk over. The saw's already set up, and this is basically I'm going to make some noise and just go with it. Walk over to the saw. Saw's all set up. Turn the saw on. Run this guy here through partial away. This guy here a little dangerous, but you get it set up with some guides and a mortising fixture or whatever, and you slice it on the table saw. That makes sense to everybody? I'm not going to turn on. I was going to turn on the saw.
yeah.
So basically, what I just did is I cut that. Okay. And then if you notice on the other one, I cut that. Okay. So now I've got, my saw blade is exactly 1/8 of an inch thick. And what I did is I have a 1/8 of an inch spline. And literally it took me about this fast. So the spline fits in like that, okay? I'm gonna hand it to Kev so everybody can see. And then this guy here fits in, and show them, don't show them the side that the markings on.
Right there.
Show them. Okay, show that side. Okay?
Yep.
Now that, for a small table, is more than strong enough for whatever. Okay?
Yeah, and this is actually follow up from a question from last week, I think, from the first video, right, of if you don't have the domino or the the biscuit joiner, that's, you know, how much is that these days?
Biscuit joiners run anywhere, a good one, $200 some, but the domino is about $1,000 basic. Then you got to buy bits and dominoes and everything.
$300 more.
Yeah, $1,300 for
So-
a domino.
So because the question was like, if I don't have all this extremely expensive stuff, how do I, you know,
Okay,
from our
well,
video, how do you put this
That
together? And
is,
this
now, you glue that up and it's gonna be as strong as it needs to be. Now, also, I can't just get away with showing technique, but I'm also gonna show a little bit of design. Okay, we've got these two rectangular pieces of wood. What's this? What do they call this in France?
La French curve.
Yeah, okay. And then what do we, this is a curve that we talked about before. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but now I'm gonna add some design,
Yep.
uh,
So
Stay
basically,
tuned, Michelle.
This is what, an 84 or in a 90 degree? Or
yeah, it's my
Radius.
90-inch
90 inch
radius.
radius. They're all radiuses.
Okay, so now I'm gonna just sit here and with these 90 degrees and all that kind of bore me to tears. And it's just so simple. Then we just come over here and get it like this.
Well, Dennis is drawing this. I might make a note about this. The spline joint doesn't have to be exactly in the middle of the board, because you just do, and then make sure, and then you just register so it could be like an 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch down and a 1/2 an inch, but as long as the 2 or 1/4 of an inch, it doesn't, so don't worry about, oh, I gotta set my table saw fence exactly in the middle. No, you just have to register the 2 boards the way you ran them through the table saw. That's all.
Yeah, I usually put an X or an R for registration,
Right.
and you just use this as a surface. Then I will, in fact, if you want, we'll glue this up, and at the end of the meeting, we'll bandsaw it out. Or I'll bandsaw part of it out, because I'll do the same to this guy here. And I'm just sitting here,
That's the French curve, right? Or no?
yeah, we'll do this guy. This is a constant radius arc. Okay. Then we take the curve of the French and we set it right here like this, lining up our little, I do most of my design and layout with the felt tip pen. And then we do it like this. I don't know how much you can see, but Kevin will,
Not much right now, but I'll hold it up.
Kevin will
I
show.
think I'll be able to see.
Now, I'm also kind of stingy when it comes to wood. And if I were to do this, I would, we've got waste right here and right here. I would lay it out so I could cut 2 legs out of this and actually use this surface to glue 2 pieces together and not waste the wood. Okay, let me tap that. And Kevin, if you want to just show.
Yep. All right, so this right here is basically, once you cut that out, it'll be, oh, yeah, let me hold it from a different angle. Like that, you can kind of see that actually, once it's cut out, is actually gonna look really, really nice. And
For a nice little simple table, and maybe in the the next one we'll do some other. So you
And you only use 2 radiuses, or technically with the French curve, an 84 and a 90-inch radius, like an inside and an outside radius, and they're only technically 1 curve, one side, the other side. So it wasn't like he mixed and matched a whole bunch of but part of it's just what you think looks good.
Yeah.
If you want a little bit more of an arc, use a 78-inch radius. You know what I mean? Just play around with it. And we used to, at Lockheed, we always had a saying, paper's cheaper than cutting metal. Okay? So take an eraser, you don't like it, make it a little bit, and then go, hey, that's what I want. Boom, done. And then cut out your template and away you go.
Okay, this.
I think somebody has a question.
Sorry.
No problem.
So I'm noticing, you cut like 4 inches down or whatever. Now, these cuts, is this like the last thing you do before you would connect it?
I understand the question.
You see,
S-
because
So,
you're gonna cut out that bottom part and the top.
Correct.
So, do you cut that long, indentation first, or do you cut it
Okay.
after you decide your design? Do you know what I mean? Because now you've got that. I'll forget it. I guess.
No. I'm. Okay. Let's little definitions here. Basically, this cutout is the kerf from the saw. The saw blade is exactly an 1/8 of an inch. So this is the kerf. Okay.
Okay.
And then the spline right here fits in there, and this is also the kerf of the saw. Doesn't go all the way through. I do that first because I'm
first. Okay.
I'm doing that first so I can work with stuff that is easily to machine. That's the key for me, is to work on the saw, and as long as I got these at 90 degrees and flat and parallel, it comes off the saw very well. So basically, it's the first thing I do is I decide what the size, and then I cut the kerfs. I cut the spline holes, okay? And then I put it together. I have an idea of what I wanted to do, so then I come back and I draw it out, I glue it up, and then I'll actually cut them out on the bandsaw. And while you guys are talking a little bit, I'll go ahead and glue this up. And at the end of the Zoom meeting, or before the end, then I'll actually cut it out on the bandsaw and show you kind of the decorative effect that it can have with walnut and black limba. Joan! Joan showed up.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey!
Just stick these somewhere.
They'll just set them aside, yeah.
Well, I guess I can see myself if it has to be exact on the curve, going
Right here's
too
fine.
far, and then I got a hole in the side. You
Okay, so say that again?
So, let's say I only need a 3-inch curve, right?
Okay.
And what if I make a 4-inch?
Okay, well, it's kind of, you have to, it's forgiving, but you do have, on the table saw, you do have a little overcut that you have to deal with and have to think about. Yeah, that's maybe a downside of this method. You do have an extra cut. Now, if there's another, you could use a router to do
Okay.
it without kind of a, instead of,
They're called slot cutters.
Yeah, this type of a router bit like this, right?
yeah, and just, you could actually run, yeah, like that. Work just as good, probably a little smaller radius and all that. So,
Yeah, so the next thing, well, Ed has a bunch of, he did a little bit of preparation with some dominoes and the biscuit joiner, right?
Well, all three of the methods of joinery kind of intertwine with each other. Biscuit, domino, spline joints. They're all joints.